This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. So we have our final LinkedIn webinar for the year right now, and we're really glad you could join us. I know some of you have been fans for a while, and we want to welcome all the people that are new to DW Consulting Solutions with this recording. And as always, anyone that's on the registration list will get a replay of this recording a little bit later today. So thanks very much. I want to welcome our Vice President of Operations, Dayve Gabbard, and she'll be swapping back and forth with me during this webinar to share some information. And also, we want to welcome Beth Wagmeister from the WAG Group, and she is our ongoing ASL interpreter. So we're really happy to reach out to a diverse audience thanks to Beth's expertise. So without further ado, we're going to get started. I'm going to turn this over to Dayve, and thank you again for staying on mute, everybody.
Great, thanks, Debbie. I appreciate it. And happy holidays, everyone. I hope that you are enjoying this time of year and it's not too stressful. I know a lot of us are in the thick of preparations for the gift giving season, and I just want to remind you that we should be giving with a loving heart and resisting all of the pressure that comes with that, which can come with the giving in our copious consumer society. So let's remember that loved ones and time with loved ones is really the best gift that you can give. Let's jump right in. We're gonna go ahead and start. We'd like to open up our presentations, just explaining briefly what we call the DW Consulting Solutions model. What we do is we teach old school networking using cutting edge technology. We still teach best practices of how to build relationships and using LinkedIn to do that. We don't advocate automation or any type of screen scraping or data scraping software. It's in violation of the user agreement, and it's just not a way to build relationships. We have built our model on the know, like, trust philosophy, age-old sales philosophy. We do business with people that we know, like, and trust, and that comes from building relationships. So the first thing that you need to do for LinkedIn to use it properly and effectively is to make sure that you have a complete and keyword optimized profile. The next step is for you to invite people to join your network, and that's best done by extending a personalized invitation to connect. We know that LinkedIn's research shows that those invitations are 5 times more likely to be accepted when they're personalized, and it can be quick and easy to do. And the next thing is then, as you're building your network out, don't pitch. Don't pitch in the invitations. Don't pitch in the follow-up. Don't pitch. It's not just bad sales technique, it's bad LinkedIn behavior. Again, build relationships. This is what we're trying to do. The connections that you have in your network may not be your customer or your target customer, but they may be able to lead you to your target customer. So it's important that we don't pitch and be off-putting. And then finally, when you are creating content or sharing or engaging with content on the feed, do so in a way that brings value. If you're sharing a post, tell me why. Explain to me the value you found in the post. Comment and engage in a way that brings value to your network. Okay, so we're going to kick off the webinar with the content today. We would just also like to remind everyone to mute yourself when you join, and if you're on now, please make sure that you're muted. Okay, so what have we learned from 2021? Well, you know, nothing earth-shattering, so to speak. More edification and validation of really good management and business principles, and the fact that communication is always key, and understanding the audience that you're communicating with, your staff, what works and what doesn't work for your staff. You may have found that your communication style needs to change a little bit. You probably found this out over the last couple of years, especially if you're doing a lot of work from home. okay? The next thing is look at all of your options, email, text, Zoom, but most importantly, phone calls. We are in this digital world, but nothing can replace the sound of your voice and just picking up the phone. You don't always have to schedule a conversation every time you want to speak to someone. We can just pick up the phone and make a call. We know that our employees want to be heard. It's important now. This has been an incredibly stressful, unprecedented experience that we've all gone through with the pandemic the last 2 years, and people want to be heard more now than ever. So the time is to really, this is the time to look at your management and your management style and taking a look at how you're valuing your employee. I mean, we're seeing the great resignation. And it's not that people are just leaving the workforce. People are leaving the jobs for better opportunities, opportunities that meet their personal needs and their professional needs more closely. We want to keep our talent, and a way to do that is to make sure that they're being heard and they feel valued. So if you haven't done an end of year staff retreat or meeting, we would encourage you to consider one early in the year. Keep it simple, keep it open, and keep it safe so that your employees have an opportunity to express their feelings and their concerns without the fear of being ridiculed or any retribution or any backlash from that. It's important that they feel valued and heard. It's also a way for you to find out from your staff ideas for improvement. Again, none of this is earth-shattering. This is some management 101, but sometimes you just need to hear it again with a different lens. Your staff are the ones in the trenches. They probably have the best ideas for you. And if they feel safe, they will share. And are you listening with empathy? Authentic was the new normal. Now empathy is the new normal. How are you handling the stressors of the situation, and are you able to tap into the empathy and have it for your staff? It's difficult when you're stressed. If you attended our webinar last month, you'll remember that we really focused on gratitude and making sure that when you're sitting in a state of gratitude, that's an easy way for you to get from gratitude right to empathy. And as I said earlier, employees want to be valued. It's important that you recognize their good work. We want to make sure that you reprimand in private and reward in public. You want to herald the work of your employees, and praise and recognition is free, and it's a very affordable way for you to motivate and express value of your staff. And then understand what's motivating your staff, and that may be different now than it was before. It may not just be monetary. I know we think about motivating staff with bonuses or gifts, but there are ways to motivate them outside of that. Praise and recognition, as I said, is free and it can be easy. Find out what's motivating your staff, and hopefully it's a positive motivation. If it's not, if it's fear, lack, a feeling of lack, of scarcity mentality, that's an opportunity for you to look at your company culture and increase the value there. Many of us read the book Contented Cows. Contented cows produce more milk. Happy employees will lead to profitable results. There's no question about it. The data is in, and there will be times where you need to coach and counsel employees. I'm not saying that you walk around happy-go-lucky and don't identify opportunities for improvement, but the way that you do that and the way that you're coaching and counseling your employees makes a big difference. Happy employees will lead to profitability. And then sometimes just something simple works best. Praise and recognition. Everyone can use more of that. And then you want to do it at staff meetings, either routinely at staff meetings, or if you have quarterly town halls or all company meetings, taking the time to recognize employees and reward them in front of their peers is going to really serve you well as we move into 2022. All right, Debbie, so what are you excited about in the new year?
So I'm going to ask the audience that question. I know what I'm excited about, and I'll get way off track if I start going on about that. I love New Year's Eve. You know, it's the end of one year and the beginning of a new opportunity. 12 months worth. That's what I'm excited about. So the first thing that I want to bring to everyone's attention is, you know, what is your mindset like? Do you have a mindset of gratitude and abundance? You know, basically, if you've been in business for a while, you have a staff, you know that your staff is going to emulate your behavior. So be mindful of how you are kind of leading the ship, so to speak. Do you manage work from home staff? And if you do, are you accessible? You know, it's important to um, identify, you know, and get all the different ways that you can communicate with a remote staff. And, you know, it's trial and error a lot of times. What's going to work best to communicate with people that are not face-to-face in person? So are you in survival mode or thrive mode? So I'm just going to make a blanket statement. I want you all to switch gears. If you're not in a thrive mode, oh, let's see, you've got a little over a week to get going into that mode. So there you have it. There is your call to action from me to you at the end of this blessed year. So how is business? What is your plan? Hopefully you have one. And I'm pretty sure everybody on this call does, whether you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, or running a mid-size or big business. You know, I know you've got plans. More importantly, how is that plan going to be implemented? Who is doing what? And this is really critical to keep a smooth process going. And I know how many times over the past few years, you know, since I've had a team of 4 with DW Consulting Solutions, I've had to really pay attention to any changes that we've made. You know, we've gotten fairly good, thanks to Dayve, at streamlining our processes internally. And I have to be mindful that every time we make a change, it might affect who is doing what. So that's something to really pay attention to. And have you taken time to analyze KPIs? And it's great to have the plan, you know, provided you're going to take the time to look at those results and study them. You know, you really want to look at key performance indicators and figure out what's working and what might need to be tweaked. Anyone that's in business that has gone through a hiring process knows that turnover and onboarding is probably the most expensive part of running a business. I know for us, it seriously takes me about 7-8 months to train a new coach, because essentially in my business, I've chosen to follow a path where I want to clone the other coaches that deliver what we have for instruction and expertise. And it's been really different for me versus a lot of other business owners. You know, it's not having an employee manual at DWCS. No, it's quite different. It's a very tedious, drawn out process to make sure that my coaches are teaching everyone the same way that I do, because that is my brand. You know, my brand includes being mindful of our clients on a one-to-one basis, even during our corporate coaching engagements. So onboarding can be very expensive, and you just want to make sure that you're doing a good job of it so that you don't have to spend a lot of extra money. It is a challenge now because younger, and it's not just younger people, it's just the whole mode of what 2020 brought into play. And a lot of employees now that are coming back on board, some of them are going back into in-person working and some are not. But here's the deal. There is a lot of challenge right now with new people coming on board, and after a few months, they decide, this isn't really what I expected. I think I'm just going to go work somewhere else. That's when it gets expensive. So try to be mindful of analyzing your whole process and how successful it is. And a good example Locally, I'm sure you've all experienced this. I know I have. The restaurant industry is really hurting for staff. And the patience works both ways. If you're going to go out and try to enjoy a meal, you really have to kind of be ready to have a bit of a longer waiting time, not only just to get your meal, but to be seated and to finish off the process of waiting for a check. I mean, it all depends on how the restaurant is running their business, but that was the first example when we were getting our content together for this webinar. That was one of the first examples that came to mind about how turnover can be expensive. And that restaurant industry is a perfect example of what happens when you're short-staffed. So does your staff and do you have the tools to meet the goals? And are those goals realistic? And that is something that I am constantly looking at. I have a very, sometimes a very expanded mindset, and sometimes I get a little overboard with what I would like to have happen in the next quarter and what actually can happen in the next quarter. So make sure that you have all the tools in place, to enable yourself and your staff to meet your goals, and hopefully they'll be realistic ones. Dayve, you're going to talk about the elephant in the room.
Yes, the elephant in the room, COVID. Do you have a plan for COVID? It's a reality we're living with now, and it's changing all the time. A lot of people are hoping things are going to get better. Hope is not a strategy. Okay, hope is important. Intention and grateful heart focused on abundance, as Debbie and I share on the regular with you, but it's not a business strategy. So honestly, you need to have more than one plan, and be ready to pivot. A plan where things are getting better and getting back to normal or a new normal. A plan for things kind of staying like they are right now. And then a plan for when things may get worse. And planning for that does not mean that you're going to bring it on. It just means that you're a smart business person. And being ready to pivot to those plans, on a moment's notice as we learn more about this disease and how our society is handling it, and how we're moving through, and new variants and what those mean. And as we all recognize, we're learning as we go, and it's incredibly frustrating, to say the least. It is difficult to make plans with the amount of uncertainty that a lot of us are looking at moving into 2022. But again, plan. It is the reality, and it is the elephant in the room. So what are your plans, plural, for COVID strategy? And is everyone on your team clear on the plans and ready to act? Their roles and responsibilities may change as a result of things getting better, staying the same, or getting worse. And it's important that everyone knows that they're a part of the plan. This is also another way that your employees can feel valued, because they know that they are a part of the strategy and that you have a strategy. So leading by example and showing them how to stay calm and professional and prepared is more important now than ever. And do you have the tools necessary to accommodate these changes? If your business has come back to in-person and we find that it might be time to go back to work from home, or if it's we're ready to stop the work from home in your business, come back into the office, what are the tools needed to accommodate change? Do you have the internet tools in place? Do you have, I would think a lot of us have the screen sharing and the Zoom or GoToMeeting things in place. Maybe you're bringing on new staff because it looks like things are getting better. What happens if you find out on a Friday that you need to go back to work from home? Do your new employees have the tools they need to be successful in a work from home environment? And how realistic a transition timeline has been factored in? if we were to find out that there was, an important change to your plan is necessary, do you have the ability to, in 24 to 48 hours, pivot from plan A to plan B or plan C? It's a new world, and being prepared for that and being realistic on the impact that it could have to you, your home, your business, and your employees is important, to make sure that it's top of mind for you as you're putting your plans together. And then with respect to the leadership, how is your leadership doing? And if you are the boss, how are you doing to move through this this time that we're in, and how are you taking care of yourself? Debbie, why don't you tackle that topic for us?
Thanks. So someday I'm not going to be the boss. I'm going to be retired. However, that's not in my vocabulary just yet, so no worries there. But I will tell you this. You need to recognize the need for wellness and better care of you. I speak from experience. Those of you who know me for any length of time, I love my work. I do a lot of it. And to get me to slow down and take 4 or 5 days off, get on an airplane and go away, it's very rare. Well, I just did that. And I had a lot of time to think while I was way far away. And it was really good for me to take that break, the way everyone always tells me, you're going to feel so much better when you come back. And, everyone just needs to do this. And I'm not saying you have to get on a plane and go to an island somewhere. It's really nice to be able to do that. But, you can hop in your car and go drive off to a South Florida park that you've never been to, spend the day, take a bottle of water, leave your phone in the car. I've done that before too. The point is, those of us who love our work, we are blessed, but it can be a double-edged sword. I know there's days when I just don't even realize what time it is. And all of a sudden I'll be dashing off an email and it's like 7:30 at night. And I'm like, wait a minute, what kind of impression is this going to put out there if I send this out? It gets saved as a draft at that point, and then I have to hope and pray that I remember to send the draft out the next day. But there is a need for balance, and you can absolutely get it if you pay more attention to prioritizing you and your wellness and your work. And then, a lot of you have many other factors that are coming into that balance wheel. You've got families, you might have pets, you might have in-laws, you might have outlaws. The point is there's a lot to life. And if you're running a business, you have to work at it, and you have to be willing to adjust, and you have to be flexible, but take care of you. Your business is going to run best with all hands on deck, and that means everybody. And again, we're always talking about planning for the what ifs. We're going to have a team meeting coming up in January, and a lot of what's going into that meeting is coming right off of this webinar. I'm going to be asking for input from my staff, what went well, what didn't. We're going to cohesively get our ideas together, opinions together, and try to work out, areas that need to be fine-tuned. So you're always going to be pulled in several directions. I have finally, after 10.5 years, I've learned to accept the fact the work is always going to be there. It'll always be there the next day. I do not have to keep saying, I love my work and I don't, I'll shut down when I feel like it. Now I've really tried to discipline myself, which is fairly new for me. But I do love what I do. I don't happen to have a family or pets around to take my attention. And that makes it even more challenging to shut down this computer, this office, and just walk away from it. But you're always going to have things pulling you in different directions. There's going to be upsets that come around in life to pull you away from your work, family, and if you've got kids, well, I can relate. I had 2, they're grown and gone now, but they still are, priorities. And I have 4 siblings that are priorities. So you've got to take time. And I'll tell you, I'm very thankful for Zoom. We actually have a sibling Zoom call every other month, come heck or high water. And that is how I stay in touch with my immediate siblings that are spread out all over the country. Make time for me time. Just don't neglect yourself. You've got to take some time and just make it happen. And then sometimes even more. It all depends on what your lifestyle is. You know, we have a coach that has family in another country, you know, and she has to be mindful of making time for her family, even though it means getting on an airplane, traveling to a different country. There's a lot involved with that whole process. But, you know, with the proper planning, I'm a firm believer, you know, things can work and they can work well. So the bottom line is, when you get better at prioritizing, everything gets better. And you also have to accept the fact that there's always room for improvement and change. So with that, Dayve is going to just briefly mention some resources and close out our meeting.
So we have a quick slide just to show you some of the resources that we use to pull some of this content and to validate our own our own ideas about what we wanted to share today. So these resources, these hyperlinks are great for you to, when you get the PDF from us that we'll send later today, take a deeper dive into some of these topics. We encourage you to do that. And then we just want to close out. We want to remind you that we want to get engaged with you in the next year. So if you haven't connected or followed Debbie or me or Kelly or Beth on LinkedIn, we encourage you to do that. We would also encourage you to subscribe to our monthly newsletter. I see a lot of familiar names on our registration list. I think a lot of you are getting our newsletter. It's chock full of lots of LinkedIn tips and information. And if you're local to the South Florida area, it also has Debbie's schedule. As a master networker, Debbie is at the events that are the events to be at in the networking community. So if you want to follow Debbie and follow along, join her at some events, she would be happy to make introductions for you as well. You can visit our website and download our free ebook. And then we are also on several other social channels. So we would encourage you to follow our page on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you haven't booked a complimentary profile review, we really would encourage you to do that. We guarantee that we'll find a couple things that we can tell you that you can fix on your profile right away. We want to provide service to our community. So many of you routinely sign up for our webinars. We have a great support network that always seems to be interested in our content. The complimentary profile review is exactly that. It's free, no pressure, no strings attached, and we guarantee that we'll find some things that you can fix on your profile. So let's get engaged in the new year. What do you say? Our contact information is here on this last slide, and I personally just want to again say to Debbie, I'm so proud to be a part of the team, and I appreciate you. I hope that you have a great holiday season. I know you got a birthday coming up as well, and Debbie, I really enjoy being a part of the team, and I just want to say thank you and happy holidays to everyone.
Well, thank you, Dayve. And yes, it is the end of the year, and that means New Year's Eve next weekend. I'm going to hope everybody has a wonderful, happy celebration. And do be careful, especially if you're out there at night driving after imbibing. So make sure you save the date for, let's see, I think it's January 26th is our next webinar. We are going to keep monthly webinars in place. So put a placeholder on your calendar for Wednesday, January 26th at noon, and we will have another great subject to welcome the new year. Thank you all so much for, being the supporters that you have been. We really appreciate every one of you, and we wish you the best and happiest of holidays. Thank you so much.